you still there?
Yes.
Yeah. You got me? I'm here.
Hi.
Alright, well,
Here we are.
Alright, we're gonna go
Our radio blasphemy coming to you from. This is not Club Closet. This is I guess like a back room that I have kind of fixed up. I won't even show it to any of you. But today we got we got two blasphemers on the line. We got Milo. What am up?
What's going on?
And we got Memo. What's Memo? Say something.
Hey, everybody.
What's funny about Memo? I caught him off guard, and he's actually at a grocery store. So we're going to get some live reporting as to what's going on. For those of you that haven't left the house, and maybe some of you that have, can talk about the experiences you're seeing. Oh, he's buying sugar. Oh, and to top it off, Memo's out there with his sons, which is even funnier. Let's see what happens there. I will try my hardest not to touch my face because evidently that's a thing. My hands are clean. They're mine. I haven't been outside in almost 3 weeks now. So, well, I haven't, but you know.
Yeah, we went to we're at Jules and getting. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Coke went up like it's like $2 a 2 liter now. Bastard.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
The man works in mysterious ways.
I don't know if you've all noticed, but
the guy I get my Coke from, man, he just shit. I can't find a guy.
Is that loud? And then now they're pushing these 1 liter bottles. So this is just one way where they get you, where they don't go up in price, but they give you less for the same price.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've all noticed, but it seems like almost all the things at the grocery stores have gone up. You're looking at the price of milk, price of the meats, and all the things. They were like, not that they were cheap, but they were anywhere between $3 and $5 a pound. Now they're upwards of $6 and $7 for the same meats. That were priced like that a few weeks ago. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
Less transports, less shipments. That's why they're
up. Milo, are you using the capitalism word indirectly?
Of course.
So you're thinking this is simple economics, supply and demand?
Yeah, this is not, this happens, even when there's like an avocado or lime shortage, you'll get like $1 for $1 instead of 10 for $1. But yeah, this is all due to less, I guess, less deliveries and this whole Corona crap that's going on. So it's bound to happen, but it's not permanent. It's not like it's not like those guys that buy appetizers and they put them up for auction on eBay for $12 a little jar of that shit. So.
Well, I mean, is there really a shortage, or is it grocers just saying we can make money on it?
You know what? There's not a shortage, but there's I'm going to say maybe a backlog of it. Those items, normally people didn't buy that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't buy disinfectant wipes and stuff, but now this happens and the stores get ransacked. So now, if you're lucky, you go in the morning to like a Jewel and Target, like during the week, and you might find something, or you might not. I haven't seen any of the stuff since 3 weeks already. So, and also you always hear stories of the employees that they hoard this stuff and they sell it to their families or they hold it for themselves. So.
Well, that's not really true model for supply and demand, because that's more of a hoarding model where you got people that are just overbuying, which eventually these people that are essentially overbuying won't need to consume or purchase these same items for months at a time. I mean, people out there buying a 6-month supply, a year supply of any item, and all of a sudden it's like there's no, the market can crash on itself for that. I would think.
Yeah, yeah, that's we asked Memo, hey, do you see any wet naps or whatever?
Any wet naps?
Just so y'all know, Memo's at the grocery store shopping.
I'm buying Chobani yogurt. That can't be up to $300. It was a good price.
He's buying yogurt.
All right, we do regularly check the toilet paper aisle when we come here. Yeah, it's still pretty empty.
Yeah.
That's very strange because there's still making deliveries and they're still bringing in supplies, right? So there really isn't a need for that. And I mean, they've been pretty clear about that in the news that deliveries are an essential service. All right. My son is super healthy now, so I have to run stuff by him. So when I said, he's like, we don't get that garbage, sir.
So, I've been kind of pretty much practicing the whole shelter in place for the last few weeks. I've had to step out for things that are considered essential, one of which is real estate involved, which means I needed to move some things around. And
isn't that because you can't walk?
Can we shut him up? And what I'm finding, and I was out in one of Chicago's more affluent neighborhoods. And let me just say that people don't care. People are out there walking. Let's just say like carrying on as if nothing. Like in this neighborhood, it didn't even look like it wasn't even that busy before the quarantine. If you know what I'm getting at, or with the shelter in place, they were busier now than they were then. And people are bumping into each other. In my move, I had somebody that came in within a foot of me, and I go, "What is your problem?" I said, 6 feet. The guy looked at me like he was like, "What are you gonna do about it?" I was like, "Whatever you want to do, let's dance." Because I'm paranoid, and maybe and I know there's a lot of naysayers that are saying, this is all. I wouldn't say that they're saying that it's fake, but that it's overhyped. What are your thoughts, Milo?
What do you mean, like as far as well, yeah, I haven't had any people, getting close to me, because I usually, when I go to whatever I need to do, buy groceries or whatnot, I just go in and out. I am fast. I can't stand slow shoppers. It's annoying. And I usually go early in the morning, as early as I can. But I have noticed people get pissed at each other for standing very close. There's a lot of instances of that. The way I go out with a mask or a scarf, gloves, of course. I don't touch anything that I don't have to, and I have hand sanitizer in the car. But yeah, I don't. I have witnessed and experienced that myself. But it would bother me. Shit, I'd say something. I'd probably start coughing on purpose if something was to happen to that.
So he
just go back to
I mean, I'm thinking about doing this, like, just it's like, okay, if you're not afraid, because this is not a thing, let me see how afraid you'd be if I'm, it makes me. I don't know how many of you all feel this way, but think about this for 1 second. I'm gonna call them the naysayers, those that are kind of taking it a little more casually and believe this is more of a media hype than it is an actual thing. That indeed this is overhyped. I'm not saying that they don't believe, because the few that I do talk to, they say that yes, this is real, but it is not what the media makes it out to be. So I'm taking this with a little more. A little more. I don't want to say lightly, but just a little less nervousness of it, if you will. Maybe that's a good way of putting it. But
it's such an abstract thing, isn't it? Though.
Well,
because it seems like we hear of all these things that break out in China and Africa with like the bubonic plague and SARS, and it always seems so far away, right? That's why this, I think, is freaking people out, because they've never seen it like on this side of the border, this side of the world, this bad. Because there are people dying.
But it doesn't mean that it's not happening. The thing is that I guess in that same frame of thought, we're taking it lightly. Most people are taking it lightly. And this neighborhood that I was referring to, they're young people. That's mainly the demographic there. So of course they're walking around very casually. There was a whole family on bikes up and down the street, and I'm sitting there going, That's amazing. You can be that carefree. I'm petrified. And I get it. And so going back to what I was saying is, somebody like myself, and maybe because I'm very impacted by what has happened. Because in a few words, my business is I've had to fold my business, and it was the smarter thing to do, because we don't know what the long-term impact is of this yet. In other words, in order for me to save my business, I had to dig a hole. At this point, I'm actually going to start at ground zero. But that doesn't say that it doesn't sting. So I'm impacted immensely by this, because this was my livelihood for the last 14, 15 years. Okay. So to see people taking it so casually is like, well, we were shut down. I can't imagine that governmental powers would take it so lightly and do that, where they would shut it down and say, hey.
I don't know. Our president seemed to kind of blow it off initially, and I think that also caused the problem to be worse than it needed to be.
I don't think any president would have done anything different.
No, the thing about it. No, I'm sorry.
They had reports about this.
Yeah, like me personally, you know me, I don't believe anything that news says, or CNN or Fox or whatever, but I will say that I'm taking it serious, but I'm not taking, at the same time, I'm not taking a chance, because what this does is, it may, like 10 people may be fine with this COVID thing, and they get sick or they have really minor symptoms. But there's always that one person, because you never know. It's something that, it's hit or miss. And that I will not take a chance. Now, the reason why...
Another term for Milo. Milo, kids Milo.
I actually have a Milo in my picture, too.
Nice. Try to put you on the car speakerphone thing, and trade. So we're all listening, so...
Well, the thing about it is that this virus, it's not like, the regular flu that, you transfer it one person to another. This is, you transfer it to one person, that person will transfer it to 3 people, those 3 people will transfer it to 9, and so forth, so on. That's why it's really highly infectious. That's what the problem.
Well, that's how...
Exponential growth, baby.
Right, that's an exponential...
growth.
Right, exponential growth.
Yeah.
So, but again, these are things that I think most people know. Most people are aware of this. My what I'm really kind of addressing here is the general attitude the general public is having. That's what's more concerning. I mean, we could talk to our eyes turn to roll in the back of our heads about the president, and yes, he is very. I don't like the way he speaks. Very repetitive. Very like you need to reassure things. Stop it. Be direct. But I'm not going to address him here because that's irrelevant. The fact is that we have these are the facts. We have a virus, and it's highly contagious. People are getting sick and people are dying. What is questionable, I think, at this point, and I think, gentlemen, I think you can both agree. I think most of us can agree. We're finding is are the numbers that are being number one projected. How accurate are they? Because I mean, if you tell me they are scary.
No, they're overprotected.
So
they're being overprotected, and actually, I'm surprised to hear that they estimate a lot less than what.
Yeah, I'll keep them on because 2 hours is it. And then the ice cream, they're good. Yeah, the ice cream stays with me. That's essential. Butter pecan, baby. You can take the chocolate, that's fine. I'll keep the butter pecan.
All right. Memo, did you want to call us back because so what I'm getting at is that you're very distracting in this conversation.
All right, bye guys, love you guys. All right, remember if you guys go out, wear the mask.
Oh, okay, he's done with
I had
that.
to buy the mask off some guy on Craigslist. Remember, he made me do horrible things for the mask. I'm just kidding. Hey guys.
So that's been very distracting, by the way. The background. I think we should have waited for him to drop off the chillins. So just so y'all know, Memo was dropping.
No, you got to take the bag. No, they're out. They're out.
Memo had to take his shopping. Oh lordy, this is horrible. This is horrible podcasting, Memo. Thank you. He ain't coming back. Just so y'all know, we apologize in advance.
Hey, I'm gonna be okay though, cause I don't have the coronavirus. I have the HIV virus.
This fucking
guy. Oh.
So you made me lose my train of thought with your grocery shopping. He went grocery shopping and
Well, yeah, we're to you live, risking life and limb for radio blasphemy to report what's going on the streets. The streets.
Which evidently was not much.
And yeah, the Tinley Parkland Kings have dissolved because they're scared. So they're holding all their rumbles and fighting online in World of Warcraft, I believe.
All right, way to take me off topic. He's even more distracting than I thought he would be. Milo, where were we? Milo?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, he's way too distracting for this.
Yeah, but like you were saying that, yeah, people are not taking it serious. Yes. They think, I came from, I went to a Mexican grocery store. Well, actually, I passed by it right here in Berwyn, Torres. And it was so packed that you couldn't even park in the parking lot. You didn't even park in the street. And I saw people walking in with no mask, no gloves, and, yeah, motherfuckers with their whole families walking in there. And this store is small. The aisles are tight. So,
could you give a shout out to that store just so that people know it's open?
Torrid.
In case you need groceries.
It's in Berwyn. Do a shout out. Sponsored by the unsafest grocery store in Berwyn.
Este episodio de Rigoberto Radio Blasphemy está presentado por Tortillas del Rey y Mario's Barber.
Hagan sus compras en la... Son compras en el supermercado. Milo, which one was it? Milo's not going to put them on blast. Jimenez. Wait, have you guys seen the numbers that the Chicago's currently facing? They're breaking them down by zip code now. 60603 and 60608 was just pretty high. Which is what 60623 is, what is that? Little Village? Yes, Little Village.
Yeah, that's Little Village. Yep.
60608 is
Back of the yard.
no, 60608 is a Pilsen.
Yeah.
What am up, Jimmy? So when you start to see that, it's like, okay, you know those numbers are beginning to reach that 100-point mark in each particular zip code. And you would start to see, this is beginning to hit home. Now, I don't know if you all saw the other, and I know this is going to cause some chonies getting in a bunch, but did you see the demographics of the people that are catching it and the people that are dying from it?
Yeah. They definitely. I was waiting for that for a few weeks.
Yes.
Because I knew it was going to happen. They were going to. Eventually, somebody was going to throw a race car in here.
Yes.
It's because George W. Bush hates black people.
Well,
the virus is racist. Okay, racist virus.
Virus is racist, man.
Okay, but
you know what?
So, what are your thoughts on
honestly,
that? I mean, I've watched a few videos with people that a certain ethnic persuasion. They're out in the street fighting the cops because they don't want to be dispersed.
Yeah,
they don't take it seriously.
My opinion on this, okay, it's the media never really says, is this contagious outside in the open air, like outside, outdoors? They never really said.
They believe it is. No, they've said it is.
Yes, they have.
They said you can pass it just from talking. And they said that the pollution actually causes it to linger in the air longer than it needs to.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
That's why you're supposed to wear a mask all the time.
The droplets, it's not aerosol, it's droplets that are in the air. Yes.
Yes.
That's what the issue is, and they can live in the air longer.
Short in you'll see it in the air now. No, but all kidding aside, they've said that it lingers in the air, and you could spread it to each other just by talking.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to wear a mask if you have it, because you protect other people from getting it, and you should wear a mask if you don't have it, because it makes it less likely for you to catch it.
So how many of y'all know? So how many of y'all know spit when they talk? You see them, droplets flying out their mouth. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm gonna avoid those people now. It's like, oh hell no.
I ain't talking to those people yet. Exactly.
No.
The thing is, here's the other thing about it is that for decades you always hear about reports or doctors' opinions on like, oh well, viruses are very weak. If a virus is outside of the human body, it doesn't live that long. The weather affects it, the temperature affects it. So that's something that they really don't talk about on the news. Now, at first, what I thought was like, okay, well, when they started, noticing that, fuck it, I'm going to say, when, like in the black community, like they get pissed off when cops try to disperse, them, hanging out outside or whatnot. My thought was like, maybe the fucking mayor's probably just talking shit to get black people scared and to keep them inside or discourage them from going out. Well, I mean, that's what I thought at first. That's a possibility.
I went to a taco joint right now to pick up some tacos. I went in with my mask. My buddy who was helping me with the plumbing issue right now, he was wearing a mask. I actually gave him some masks to him and his grandkid. And there was like 4 morenos, 3 of them were together on motorcycles, and one was just like there with no mask, all congregating together, and I think some people have the attitude that or don't care, don't pay attention to the news. I mean, Now, at this point, like one of my friends who says from being black, he's like, he already knows the government's out to actively kill them, so this is no surprise. I'm going to continue my stuff as normal.
Well, that kind of goes back to that same point that there's a lot of people walking around acting like this is not a thing, and maybe our brown or our black brothers, they have less or more of an attitude that says, you can't tell me what to do. You already told me what to do for 400 years. I'm not taking it anymore. I'm not saying that's the case, but can that be it? The police don't tell me what to do. The government don't tell me what to do. Well, the problem is this is one of those situations where it's not them specifically telling you what to do. They're just trying to make sure that you don't help spread that this condition. I don't know.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy to me because, like I said, I said earlier that I had doubts about being out because people are so blasé about it, and it's like maybe in my mind I'm beginning to have doubts and saying, well, maybe I'm making more out of this than this is. Michelle pointed out that she said that this thing is aerosol. I haven't read that yet, but it seems like there's new information coming out every day. So, I mean, who knows?
Are you saying Michelle Obama?
No, one of our followers.
Like, damn, bro, I didn't know you knew Michelle. Damn.
I know a Michelle, but so you're right. Again, I try to mention when they make a comment as to what they're talking about. Michelle was saying that our follower here is saying that they have certain underlying conditions that just makes it worse. Catching the vaccine, we're all equally, I think, susceptible to catching it. What's killing us, and those numbers are going to be higher for those that have pre-existing conditions that weaken the immune system. So that's where you're going to see the higher numbers. So, well, let me. I don't know what I did wrong, Jose. How about? Is that better?
Yeah. Well,
wait, hold on. I got a mic.
What they were saying also is,
how's that?
Like, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Jose was saying that there's a lot of background noise. I'm thinking I set up a mic, seeing if that works. So
Okay.
Michelle's saying hi for those of you that can't see the Facebook feed. Jose, can you chime in and let me know how that sounds? Mario's saying that who took too long to call it a pandemic. Well, see, and again, we discussed this, that can any president really can you argue how if they're going to act differently? We are people. We will panic. We had War of the Worlds, just on radio, and people lost it. So what happens if you're not sure this is going to elevate more than it will? Obviously, it's a global problem now. And again, this is always going back to discussing numbers. Are we being duped? And that's a serious question. You have to question it.
Well, first off, I just want to say that we've had numbers. This coronavirus is modified SARS, right? It's SARS but more contagious. So I think that the argument of any president would not have been able to handle it, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because SARS was pretty bad and it was very contagious. But how is it that we were able to get past that, and then how is it that we were able to get through the Black Plague in Texas?
Okay, so going back to SARS, we didn't even have a shelter in place. We didn't have any of these conditions exist. So it seems to me that this is still pretty preemptive, because we didn't have any of that, and yet yes, we knew, we were all aware, but no, these precautions weren't being taken at the time. So are you speaking in favor because that was a more popular president? Is that what you're saying?
No, I hate that guy. I hate Obama. Don't give me that credit because I understand. One person. don't assume that I like another guy.
Okay,
Because
but you understand my
I don't like
point.
Obama. I don't like his politics. He deported more people than the previous presidents combined. So no, I do not like Obama. But, not just his administration, but a few others, where we've had contagious diseases, some of which did hit this side of the hemisphere, but we didn't have the same amount of people get this sick. And I think part of that is because we had people that were competent, right? The current administration only likes people that kiss his ass. The problem with that, though, is if they disagree with them, he throws a tantrum, he gets rid of them, and then he puts in somebody that likes him. So, what I've been saying about that is that I don't blame him for this completely, because this is an extraordinary event. But I think he could have done a lot better. And if we had other administrations, I think they might have been able to handle it better, because we've been through this as a world before, right? With SARS, with the Black Plague.
We had a what do you call it?
Case in Texas.
No, we had.
Right, it was in Texas, I think.
The pandemic task force that Clinton had, since the Clinton era, and we had that. We were warned. The Chinese admit to what was happening. I remember at that time there wasn't a whole lot of free information or social media going on in China. So obviously they took over. They locked down. They forced quarantine cities and towns when that happened. And it wasn't until recently where China started opening up their mainland so Westerners could go in and go visit family or do whatever it is, work, business, like we do today. So that was part of why we didn't get hit with SARS 10 years ago.
And they implemented safety checks to people going and coming from the areas that were affected. Now, I don't want to completely put it at Trump's feet, but I just a lot of the disinformation that he himself has spread, I think, has just made things worse, right? And I think the evidence pointing to previous incidents of highly contagious diseases that have come into the U.S. Aside from SARS, we had that doctor that had the plague, bubonic plague, and survived, right? The thing is and even for this coronavirus, whatever, the problem that's killing people like in Italy is not the actual disease, but it's just because so many people are sick at once that they have to pick give Rigo the mask or Milo the mask. I like Milo more than Rigo. So sorry, Rigo. No ventilator mask for you.
Well, for, something
that's
that's
what we're doing, and it appears to be working what we're doing, right? Because they're saying that their modeling is showing that the drop, that the distancing is helping.
Yeah.
No, it is. And they're also trying to implement hydrochloroquine thing, or whatever the hell you
hydrochloroquine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hydrochloroquine, and that's for patients that have lupus, and that medication's been around for a while. Also with strong doses of zinc, that's helping patients recover, but it's not going to cure them. It just, it cuts their symptoms by half, by 50%. So if you are 100% with pneumonia, 100%, it'll cut it down to at least 60% within 2 days after taking it. Right now, they're also working on a treatment based on
How's that?
research they did with SARS back in 2003. Some doctor in San Diego is coming up with something, and it's not going to be ready till July. And a few other countries are doing the same. There was another doctor who said that some other type of, I forgot the name of the vitamin, but the equivalent to that is tonic water. You drink, I don't know, like a couple ounces of, Schweppes tonic water, and supposedly it would help you out if you feel like you're getting it, or but who knows?
Yeah, that's beginning to sound like the Mexican remedios.
No, these are real doctors.
And then I was going to tell you, because I can't repeat myself, Milo, but you talk about lupus, but what about for us Mexicans to get Guadalupe?
There's some things that have been discussed, and I think they're very practical. And again, if you guys follow the page, there's some things that you treat it like when similar to when you have bronchitis or a bronchial infection, where you sit in the shower and you do this, and you absorb steam, you drink warm liquid, you spit it out. So that seems to be one of these Peñafiel, right? So those seem to be things that some of the treatments that are being offered. I think what we're finding is...
con el Vaporub, and you're all
yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't go wrong with Vaporub.
Yeah. Man, so yeah, let's lighten it. I got a family story. Here it goes. I'm always told not to get personal, but it wouldn't be me if I don't. Topo Chico. Come on, you're right, Topo Chico. A blue. But yeah. That's right, Christy. Put a blow dryer in your mouth and dry it out. Let's just straight up, a Virgen de Guadalupe candle. That's magical, man.
No, you gotta bust out the egg.
Yeah.
Una pinche limpia. I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, no shit. The evil eye, man. You gotta watch out.
Hey, that's a bonus. But
that's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I bet you that shit works.
Oh, wait. Hold on 1 second. Michelle's saying that something's happening by Midway.
Like, man, that's this. This place is fucked up.
Let us know what's going on by Midway, Michelle. Michelle's saying that there's a bunch of helicopters out there by Midway. As we're streaming, we're getting live feeds. Huh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got cut off.
All right. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. I lost both of you, Granny. Yes, we're on YouTube as well. So, all right. What happened here? What happened?
Hello?
There we go.
Oh,
sorry, we got disconnected for a second. I don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys.
Bueno, mijo, ¿está tu papi? Mijo, habla con tu papá.
Oh wow. So keep us posted on what's going on by Midway. Michelle, I don't know if you guys are reading the comments, but Michelle actually had a sister that was affected by this. So that's it's getting close to home.
Yeah.
We're not only that, but I have a few friends that I know their parents were affected, and there are people that are truly dying from this. So we can't ignore it. We can joke about it if you want, but I don't find it funny, and the fact that people aren't taking it seriously, of course, is it's even a scarier notion because people will die from it, and maybe not the ones that, for example, in my case, these young people running around the street, maybe they will survive it, but it's those that they spread it to that are being endangered. Unless you use Mexican remedies.
My neighbor had it.
Yeah?
My neighbor had it, but the good thing is that she didn't infect anybody in her office.
Wow.
And she works for like 4 people. She works with 4 people. And this is a small insurance office that she works on the north side. So those people are okay. Her 2 sons are okay. And they're about my son's age. I believe, well, she believes that her husband, who travels a lot, he's asymptomatic because he hasn't gotten sick, but she did. And I saw her 3-4 weeks ago, and she looked like stir-fried shit. But I saw her from, I said hello from my window. I wasn't going outside, but yesterday she told me oh well, yeah, she had the coronavirus, but she pulled through and really shitty symptoms. Like backaches, teeth hurting, numb hands, all sorts of bad shit. But well, she's okay now, but I'm still keeping my distance,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
you can get it again. You can get it again. It's not one that you develop necessarily an immunity to it. So, Cheryl, can I get a coffee, please? When you get a chance. So, I'm asking for coffee. So,
dude, we're live. Come on.
Yeah. So Christy's pointing out some things that
amateurs never worked in radio before.
Well, yeah, I know. This is Gonzo German journalism. There is no fact checking. Again, disclaimers. There is no fact checking. This is just how I would like to consider us normal people perceive the world and what we absorb, essentially by what is being told to us. And you can call it being sheeple, but I think the fact that I think part of the point of this podcast or this feed is to get people to question things as well, not just always accept it. And yes, Christy, not to live in fear is I think a good way of seeing things, because if we live in fear, then our lives are essentially over. This is not, we're not in a communist country or in a dictatorship or what have you, but
man.
I know you sound disappointed. This, Memo's a socialist, just so you guys know.
Yeah, my favorite socialist is Stalin, of course, because he killed so many people.
Michelle, there's
that's the kind of communism we have in the U.S. Stalin.
Hey, what's up, Angel? There is a website that does a scanner for CPD, so you might want to check that online. I can't remember the name of hand. Then they're not the National Guard. They're ghetto birds.
There you go. You should have to use a disclaimer that we also have a twisted sense of humor.
We have. I think people should know that we have a pretty screwed up. I know. I wanted to get to that, Christy. So yeah, we have a kind of messed up sense of humor. These are pretty serious times, so we truly haven't unleashed it yet. But it's coming. Yeah. Once things aren't so bad, it'll be out there. Right now, we try to keep you all informed. I mean, there's so much out there, and we'd like to engage all of you as well to comment and let us know what your thoughts are. So I wanted to talk about this because I was talking about me having to fold my business, which is in the beauty industry, and we have the mayor of the city of Chicago, who I have an incredible amount of respect for, because she's done so much to keep it together, to keep people inside. And then, what does she do? She goes out and gets a haircut. Now.
Damn. What you got to judge for, bro? You went out and got a pedicure. That's okay.
Memo, stop moving. Let me see. I'm having all kinds of audio issues today. Let me try another thing. Memo, I think that's you. Stop moving.
That's me.
Yeah, stop moving. Sit still. How's that?
I'm trying. I'm trying to stand still.
Okay, I think. Let me do one more here.
Sorry, everybody. I have attention deficit disorder.
How's that, guys? So, yeah, guys, we're still trying to figure out the ins and outs on this. This is very unprofessional. You know, I know some of you are used to live feeds and YouTube channels that are okay, thank you. This is not it. If you come here for professionalism, this is not it. This is the wrong place. This is like one of you. Stop saying. This is like one of you doing the same thing, just getting up here and I'm itchy though. Doing the same thing. We lack professionalism, but you know, that's not what's important here. What's important is that we engage and talk. And
yeah, you're itchy.
Evidently, I am.
And we know that you're itchy. Where exactly are you itchy?
Wait! Stop it! Stop distracting me. We were talking about the mayor's haircut, which incidentally.
I was concerned about your itch. Are you okay?
I got fleas. My dog has fleas. I have fleas. So I got a haircut over the weekend. Just take a look.
Damn you, mayor!
I got my beard trim, but guess what? I couldn't go to a salon and get that done. I'm fortunate enough to have my wife do that for me. So yay me.
Oh, okay.
If not, I would do it myself or what have you, and that's okay. But when you have the mayor going to somebody and getting it done, that kind of opens a door for just about everybody to say, well, if the mayor did it, why can't I? What's good enough for what's good enough for the goose is good for the gander, or something like that. So it's not fair to those of us that are in the beauty industry that had to close shop because obviously we don't want to spread it and we don't want to catch it ourselves.
Yeah, that was. He shouldn't have done that shit. Or she.
Yeah, I don't think he should have done that.
She shouldn't have done that. Or I don't even think it was her. It was the beautician that posted it on social media or something. Or
and she deleted it since. But that's crazy. Could you imagine that posting that? I mean, was that that's almost like a revenge thing to her? It's like, oh, watch me.
I want to know if she gets fined. Because they came out today saying that if you're a business that's open and you're not essential, then you're going to get fined and you're going to get violations and we're going to find more stuff on you. Pretty much threatening people. I'm sure that happens to her, but I doubt it.
Well, Jose just pointed out that there's actually a list of businesses that are that got fined for being in business while this is going on. Oh yeah, they posed for the pic.
That beauty place that she went to. All right, that's cool, man. That's all good.
Well, first of all, man, I think she needs a fucking makeover. First of all, he needs a good tailor. Yeah, tailor.
Who's that Trump tailor right now?
Yes, And just buy a suit off the rack that's like 3 sizes big. That's not. Come on, man. You can do.
You're married. Yeah, you're married in a big freaking city. And then after that, we have to tell Trump the same thing. Like, you guys need to stop wearing your dad's old suits. All right. There's a way to size up a suit. All right. Just Google it. It's easy. Try a size you feel comfortable, and go until it's tight, and then go to the next size up. And that's it. You're good.
Actually,
you know what? Go buy it off the rack. It's all right. Go to Filene's basement or what's the discount place. Go to Marshall's and buy your suits, but then take them to a tailor. Get them fit to your.
Go to rack. You can get a nice suit and they'll tailor it for you there. You know
where she needs to go is what's that fucking
Men's Warehouse.
Exactly.
Men's Warehouse. Listen.
Men's Warehouse.
So Michelle's saying that she received an email from her. She's in the service industry, and her boss sent an email saying if they wanted to come back. How can you? How can you? You are risking because we are still on the upward trajectory. We're still going up in numbers. People are still catching it. We're not leveling off. So that's irresponsible. Irresponsible. And I can imagine people are beginning to get desperate. But it's where
we're
do
not
you
Terrible.
we're not expected to peak till Sunday. Sunday.
The 15th. They said the 15th.
I'll tell you what, if that's the case, and I hate to say this like this because like that's good news. That's good news because that means that if we peak, that means we start to go down. That's not so. The problem is it true? So far, so much of what we've heard has not been fairly accurate.
If you look at the numbers, what they throw out there, I'm not saying that, you can't get it or you won't, but, the chances of getting it compared to, the numbers of population of Illinois, which is 20 million, maybe?
Yeah,
and only about 7,000 people got it. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the numbers.
I think the number's a little higher. I think I saw 12 today. I think that's what I saw today. Yeah, 12,000.
12 out of 12 million. That's
Google it, mijo.
Yeah, that's an insignificant. What is that? That's 0.1. That's 0.1%. Not even a whole percentage.
Yeah.
So
the only problem is that percent is maybe more concentrated in one area, which will unfortunately.
Are you thinking in Illinois or the entire U.S.?
No, in Illinois.
Illinois. We're in Illinois, so it makes more sense for us to look at those numbers.
All right, hold on. Let me bring it up because according to the world meter, we had 31,000 new cases. But hold on, they said so far 434,077 cases in the U.S. Of that, 14,775 died and 22,580 recovered. In Illinois specifically, we have total cases 15,078.
Yeah, that number jumped up from yesterday.
Today, 1,529. Total deaths are 462. Total new deaths are 82. Active cases 14,566.
Okay.
So here's a question, and I'm anybody that's still tuned in. Are those numbers
46.
Are those numbers skewed? And hear me out, because I've heard this rhetoric where they're saying that that they're attributing certain deaths to COVID-19, even though they're not COVID-19. So I'm curious.
What they were saying was that if you have some disease and they gave you 2 months to live, but that person ended up getting the corona and died because of it, its chances are more likely it's because of the pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
But since they have to go by the last
ailment,
the illness,
right,
or ailment that had. But yeah, there's a lot of people that probably got slipped through the numbers that died. They were going to die anyway.
But now they happened to happen. But now they attribute it to something new. Mm-hmm.
So if you do the math with this, though, it ends up being that it's only 3.08% of people who from the total cases have died. So it's a 3% death rate, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, flu is right around there, right?
Right.
It's like a 3 to 6% death rate. So
I think the difference is between flu and COVID-19, because that's the actual disease, not the virus. I think the difference is that it's just that much more contagious. So you know.
Well, it's a couple of things, and because I work at the hospital, and I told them that I had the shortness of breath and all that, so I get to work from home for the next week. But one of the things that the nurse told me was that it's so random in its symptoms that it, she was telling me, even with me, because I've been kind of feeling down and out for about 3 weeks from a cold, right? He said it's quite possible that you might have had it already and you're still just getting over it. But the only way to determine that is through testing. So what she told me is that next week, when Tuesday comes on Monday, I have to call and talk to them and see if I still have the shortness of breath, then they might send me to get a test.
See, this
but
is
I haven't had a fever or diarrhea or any other symptoms. So maybe a headache, but that could have been, hungover.
What's funny? What's funny is and I've talked about this before. Earlier in the year, I had all what appears to be all the symptoms, not as extreme, but the I think one of the symptoms is the loss of taste or in your mouth or
loss of taste and smell.
Yeah. So who knows? So I think I don't know if you guys want to keep on discussing that. I think most of the people here kind of get it. So let's talk about another current event, which I found very interesting today. And the only reason I really want to talk about it because my friend here is such a supporter that I know he was crushed when I broke the news to him. You want to say what happened today, Memo?
You know what?
He can't even bring himself to say Bernie dropped out of the run for president.
But remember, the people that listen to for news, aside from the usual corporate media and Fox and all those folks, they had already said that the Young Turks. I like those guys. They're definitely left leaning, progressive. TV station on YouTube, and I like them.
I like them as well. Believe it or not, you know why? Because if there's a way to describe, they just don't always seem so radical.
He'll tell you that he'll tell you, hey, I like Bernie Sanders, and he says it, and they love Bernie Sanders, but he had already predicted from Super Tuesday, the day after. He's like, I'm sorry, guys. I love Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
I want him to win. But right now, from the polls, he's done.
Yeah.
So that was like a few weeks back, So, and I tend to trust those guys because they're the ones that were on Stephanopoulos, and he told them, they all said that Hillary was going to blow him out, right? And this guy got on there, and he told them, I have Trump winning 296 to 250 something electoral vote. And they laughed at him. But he ended up being, a lot closer than they were. And it's just to remind everybody that when anybody tells you that it's a liberal media, that's a bunch of bullshit. It's a corporate media that's pro-rich, whether it's a rich Democrat or a rich Republican, a rich libertarian, what's that guy's name? Senator guy who's now holding Trump's nuts. Paul Ryan, not Paul Ryan. But he's another one that.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul. Yes, Ron Paul. So all these people are the same. They're the same people who will tell you, oh, this liberal media and stuff. And that's just a big lie. It's all corporate media, and it's all looking out for corporate interests. Even now, as we're going through this Corona stuff, the airlines are going to get bailed out, and do you know that they're still refusing to give refunds? I just called them last week because I was supposed to fly out last week on the 31st. So instead, I got a voucher. And one airline that expires in 6 months, and another one, Southwest, is better because it's a year and a half, I think. But you can't get your money back. So if you had a dump, I have a trillion kids, so flying for me, trying to plan this out because my son graduated from the Marine Corps last week. Was I wanted to have everybody there and stuff, but now with all this that happened. I had to cancel the reservation. Those guys were cool. The hotel was cool about it. Full refund. But the airlines, nada. And I told him, I'm like, this is like an extraordinary event, right? This is like unprecedented. I don't even know if you can even say this is like a hurricane, like, an act of God. Because it is possible that come next week on the 15th, especially with people going out and enjoying the weather yesterday, that we see another spike, right? And then that's going to freak people out some more. And the stock market's going to go down again and all this stuff. But, as far as the whole Bernie Sanders thing, I will tell you this, though. Now that people are going to need to pay for these tests, and apparently there's some places where they're not going to give them for free. You're going to have to pay for them. We'll see. Like, now you're going to have 30 million. What is it? What's the number for the unemployment rate? Was it 30 million?
Something like that.
30 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
So we're gonna see how these 30 million people who are out of work and are broke because most of those people are probably working hourly jobs, don't have any medical insurance. We're gonna see how they feel about socialist Medicaid for all after all this is said and done. Because I think that it's gonna illustrate some of the problems that we have with capitalism, because you could sit there and complain all you want about people jacking up prices on toilet paper, cleaning products, all of these things that you need now. But you know what? You guys have been telling us, hey, capitalism. Love it or leave it, baby. Capitalism. So now here's your capitalism. Now that your family needs those medical masks, how do you feel about capitalism now? Because someone's selling them for like $500 a box when they used to be 20. How do you feel about that? That's capitalism, and enjoy it. Pay for it. Pick your rent or the mask to protect your family.
Yeah, I would love to argue that, but
I'm sad about Bernie Sanders, yes.
Yeah. But the problem, and I'm gonna say with Bernie Sanders was that I think he was just too far. Leaning that none of that, even as great as it does sound, and it really does, he could never have given what he was delivering, and people knew that. You gotta be able to give us you gotta be able to give the American public enough to where they believe they're actually going to get it. I unfortunately, there's no way Bernie can deliver what he was going to get, promising. There's just no way. That even though we hear it from politicians all the time, there's just no way that he was going to give it to us, because it wasn't going to happen. There are too many powers in play.
I would beg to differ.
Oh, really? How is that the case? He couldn't get his own party to support him in a nomination. How do you think that was going to go in legislation?
The DNC, we already saw the DNC, played dirty and put their finger on the scale and forced Hillary down our throats in the previous election. They didn't do that so much in this election, but they did in the last one. And that's the whole reason we have Trump. Because think about it. Well, how shitty of a politician do you have to be to lose to a racist, narcissist, sexist pedophile?
We have people on our page that are going to lose it when you say that.
The man bragged. He himself bragged on Howard Stern about going into the dressing room of the U.S. teenage, Miss USA. He did that, all right? Not me. He's the one that went on Howard Stern and said, yeah, I could go back there and look. These are teenage kids, man. Like,
I think you have to be 18 to participate in Miss America.
No, this thing was Team USA.
Okay, see.
Okay, well, I don't know.
See that.
Enough of that.
Okay, and that's horrible.
And those ilk, they were all buddies with the Epstein guy.
Okay, but you're talking about human nature here too. You're crossing you don't at this point, and I just want to separate the two between people's deviant behaviors and politics. And I know it's difficult because their behavior, they can dictate as to what their politics will be. I could see that, but I'm trying to at this point say what we are seeing on the surface, because it's difficult to you know, to accuse the current president and say, oh, you know, this and that. Particularly when he was talking about how he was with women. Uh, at the end of the day, and this is, and I'm almost sounding nonsensical here, but let me get under my thumb. As a human being, and I want you all to discuss this once I'm done. As a human being, our current president is horrible. The way he speaks is god awful. He no more than an eighth grade education at times is what it sounds like to me. Not to say that I'm much better than that as far as my educational level, but Jesus, you know, I'm not the president of the United States. So what I'm talking about here is what I'm talking about here is yeah. I'm losing. I lost me. Yeah.
They go hung up on me because he's biased because he's a Republican. He voted for Trump.
What I'm getting, I was discussing how
where I've cheered the guy on.
Well, no, I don't cheer the president on, but we are talking about what his.
Actually love.
What? No, listen, stop it for 1 second. What?
Stop it. No, you stop it.
What he's talking, but what I'm talking about is the policies that he enacts and the things that he does for the country or does not do, and that's what I want to address. I don't want to discuss his personal habits because I don't know his personal habits. I know what he sounds like when he speaks, and that's god awful. But hey, but at the end of the day,
I love when he speaks because he has the best words, the greatest words, the biggest words.
But
it's so awesome. Especially, you know, what I like about that is when people defend him about how smart he is.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm talking about his policies.
They don't see the cognitive dissonance there.
Yeah, I'm talking about policies. Talk to me about policies, and that's where it matters. And I'm going to tell you.
I'll talk to you about policies. One of the first things he did because he didn't like Obama is he pulled us out of the TPP, the free trade zone in the Pacific Rim. I was totally with him on that. Every time he comes out and he talks crap about the Chinese and how they have, you know,
no hate. It's Holy Week. Michelle reminded me.
I support him in that. When he comes out and he calls it the China virus, I'm okay with that. Because I think China's been screwing the country over for years, and I don't know why we keep letting them do that to us.
Okay, but
or our politicians let them do that to us.
So this is kind of what I'm getting at, that we're talking about. I'm not talking about the man himself, but rather the policies. And let's face certain facts that no matter how you see it, his policies are probably written or enforced or put together by people that are a lot smarter than him. He's just at the end of the day the man that's at the head. He's the face of government, if you will. He's the one that we recognize. But at the end of the day, our presidents now are elected by a popularity contest. So the country goes and votes for the most popular guy. The way he looks is crucial.
Oh my God! Here comes the Batman speech. We got the president we deserve, not the one we needed.
Yeah. Well, kind of, yeah. We voted for a prom king, and we're gonna do it again. Yep. We're voting for prom kings. That's horrible. I think there are far better people to run the country, but we pick those that are popular, and that's horrible.
Well, we assume are popular and rich and
well, obviously he's very popular because he did win. Oh, he didn't win the popular vote, but he did get an awful lot more votes.
Rigo. I think you have to highlight that the Hillary campaign, that she was a horrible candidate. I mean, what was her whole stance against why we should vote for her? Why? Because this guy's worse?
That's horrible. That is horrible.
She underestimated how much people dislike her.
Yeah.
She totally had no clue. And that just goes to show you how incompetent she was. Because think about it.
Okay. Wait. Hold Hold your breath for 1
All
second.
right.
Hold your breath for one
Sure.
second. Who's more unpopular, uh, um, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton? And that's a big stretch. I mean, come on.
If you give people that choice,
Yes.
I promise you, the majority of people, some of whom would claim that they would have voted for Bernie, would rather pick Trump than Hillary.
I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people did.
They did, and a lot of people just didn't want to vote because I think one of the things that people are also sick and tired of is picking the lesser of two evils, right? Because we've been doing it for how long? Right? When's the last time a candidate actually moved us? It was what? Maybe Obama? But even at the end of the day, he ended up being just another corporate, hack.
Yeah, he was just popular because it just, I hate to say it, just it's our first black president. It's like, really, that's not. I'm sorry, that a good skin color does not make a good politician.
Did he change anything? You know what? Let me tell you. He was his ATF sent a semi truck to Mexico to see we're all full of weapons to see where they go, where they end up. That boils my blood. And then on top of that, he was deporting more people than any of the previous administrations, right? And then you have this idiot, Jorge Ramos, who comes out on TV and kissing the guy's ass, right?
Okay.
So all that stuff, I dislike all that stuff.
Okay, hold on a second. Michelle wants to ask a question. I want to give her the floor. She's one of our biggest contributors. So yes, Michelle, please, by all means, go ahead, type your question away. We'll give you the room. No, he did not bring down the deficit. He actually made it far worse right at the beginning technically because of the market crash in 2008. Yes, Jose said that he did bring down the deficit. He did not bring down the deficit. 2008 was horrible. So that's not accurate.
Tell them that look into that easement. What is it called? When they print up more money to help bail out the banks. There's a name for it. It's something easement. I can't remember off the top of my head.
You want to look that up, Cheryl? I don't know.
Looking it up.
Yeah. Michelle, go ahead with your question.
It was a procedure that's done so that they were able to bail out the banks with that. But they never really ended up helping anybody.
So here we go. Michelle, we're waiting for your question. So here we go. Going back to when Obama took presidency, that he was part of the one was responsible for making sure that, and I know this is murky, so don't hold me to this. Gonzo journalism, I'm not a professional. But he was, unfortunately, he was at the helm when that money was being distributed, and at the end of the day was distributed to these banks who at the end of the day, did not help the American public. They helped themselves. And now here's a twist on it. And think about this one for a second. Here you have the next president in line, who's taken this a relief package for the current crisis, and now it appears that he's giving it actually directly to the people. What the difference is between and I'm going to use quote unquote the Democrats and the Republicans, because that money's still going out now to the American people. Now, this is what the appearance is. The truth is, hold on. The truth is, that money is not. The Federal Reserve, what they're using that money for, because as soon as this happened, you know what they're using that money for? To buy back into the markets, into the stock market.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah.
It's called quantitative easing. That's the same thing that they did to bail out the banks before, and it's what they're doing now again. Quantitative easing, look it up. And the bad thing, though, is, as my friend who's an economist from the University of Michigan, my boy Dwayne, said, that we've already bailed ourselves out with this, and we can only do this so much before we bring everything crashing down.
Yes. Yeah, and I think we're reaching that point. So as Michelle posed her question, and I think this is a very interesting question. She's asking: has politics ever interfered in your relationship or dating life?
Yes.
We'll address that. Memo, I want you to answer that actually because it's very entertaining.
No, I mean, I would consider myself a New Deal Democrat, like Bernie Sanders. The thing is, people throw around the socialist, communist term because it invokes visions of Stalin's, Russia at the time. But we're never going to have that kind of socialism here,
Right.
or communism.
Okay, but your answer the question.
And no, but because of those beliefs, yes, that we had strained relationships in the past with people. Because I've been in relationships with people who were on the right,
yes,
who listen to the Sean Hannity. And I'm not saying I never listened to those guys, because I have. I've listened to Rush, Hannity, Levine, and the like. But I really listened to Ben Shapiro. But I think that yes, it has had effects in a relationship, because how can it not? Because if you're true to your values, and the values are at the core of who you are, then if you're with somebody who has these other values, especially these neo-conservative Republicans that we have now that are right of the right that we're used to.
Right.
The Republicans we have now are not true Republicans. There's some bastardized form that is far right. That's why when they claim like Bernie's a socialist, in the past, Ronald Reagan would have
hold on
an election these days, because they call him a communist.
Memo, you're not running for election. Memo, hold on.
They
Memo.
imagine if you were to bring up to the Republican Party of today,
Memo,
let's give 10 million people amnesty or here illegally.
Memo, hold on. The question is yes or no. She wants it specifically answered. And I'm going to say, here we go. We lost him again. For me, the answer is yes. When different political views can truly affect the relationship, and as Memo was saying, it has a lot to do with just core values. When you don't share core values, or they're very so polar opposites, that you can't agree. It causes, I think, a lot of disagreements, and some of these disagreements can elevate. Hold on one second. But there we go. I think I'm gonna use another phone because mine.
Why not?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was the government.
I think I'm straining my
Trump
phone,
is
so that's
awesome.
causing.
Trump is great. Trump is the greatest president we've ever had.
Hold
and
on.
He has the
Hold
biggest
on.
hands ever.
Hold on.
Mama.
Okay, we're back. Sorry.
Mama. Sorry, guys. That was the government. We love Trump. Trump is awesome.
All right, we're back. Yeah, we should have a timer. I know he keeps talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
I gotta sign off already. Work is calling.
Okay. Good talking, Milo. We'll catch up. We got more to go.
Take care, Milo.
Alrighty, man. Good seeing you. Good talking to you, man. Alrighty, man.
Take care of yourself, brother.
So,
all right, you too. Bye.
To answer your question, Michelle, for me, yes, because core values. You're just going to disagree, and some people are very heated by it. They're very moved by these things, and if you can somewhat agree, then I think it works. And if you're polar opposites, no, I think that's an issue. Memo, again, have you ever had a relationship fall apart because of political views?
Yeah.
Okay,
totally.
that's what we needed to know. There you go, Michelle. It does happen.
Yeah, it does.
Yes. She's asking, so it would be key to bring it up earlier than later in a relationship. Absolutely, I think that's part of the getting to know you phase, which is in the first, few dates. You know if somebody's, even though they're good people and you seem compatible with each other. But I don't know why I'm giving relationship advice here, but when it comes to political views, you have to be somewhere in
Well,
the
think
middle
about well,
if you're not
think
on the
about
same
it this
page.
way: if you're dating a white guy, right? Because I've seen this happen, and then you happen to be Mexican, right? And then he votes for Trump, and he's like, "Yeah, I love Trump. Trump's awesome. Yeah, build that wall." Some people may not take offense to that. Some people might, right? But I personally wouldn't like that. Like if one of my daughters, had a boyfriend that was like that, I would prefer not to, or at least if we discuss the issue, you know, we can at least agree to disagree, right? But I think right now, so many people are just like feel that they're so right about something, you know, that you're either with me or against me, and that's it.
Right.
And I think that's the point we've gotten to. So Rigo and I disagree on some stuff, but I've never felt like that with some other.
Well, but you know what it is? Um, we're really kind of down the middle. We joke about being extremists. We joke about those that are extreme to the right or to the left or what have you.
We're reasonable. I think we're reasonable.
We're reasonable. I'll tell you what, Michelle. It has to be somebody that has to be intelligent. Not all or nones. No, I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's an intelligent person would also welcome debate. So even if you're on polar opposites, if you can somebody that's reasonable and welcomes debates, you should be able to get along.
Has she ever voted for a Democrat and a Republican?
She actually did make mention that she has. I have. And,
I have as well.
And to be what's funny, I'm not even. I'm neither. I'm neither a Republican or Democrat. Whenever I get the chance, I vote for my party, which is a little more anti-government, if you will. They're called libertarians. I like them because it's minimal government. The problem is we still need government, which we still do. We truly do. To say that we don't need government, that's anarchy, and that's unrealistic. People are bad. People are inherently bad, and they will take advantage and they will hurt each other just because. So that's
look at the current capitalist system we're going through right now with people.
Exactly. So
that's where the government has to step in and just say like, no, this is a national, this is national security. Right, this is like no, we can't do that, and really at the end of the day, what we need government to do is regulate like our businesses and corporations, but not to the point of stifling.
Well,
right?
That's
not to the point where we allow a company to dump toxic chemicals into our water. Right?
But see that's the problem. Where do you draw the line? We right now we have a government that, let's face facts, we in the name of terrorism, we gave them all kinds of liberties on us, and because of what's going on right now, we're giving them even more. This is what we do. We surrender our rights for protection, and under that guise.
But real, if you look at that, all of that at the end of the day, if you follow the money, there's a corporation that is making big bucks off of that, and that's where they're going to push for that.
But that,
so
but that's a government. That's what I'm.
Perpetual war for the last 20 years. How long has it been since 9/11? 19.
Yeah, well, it'll be.
Who's getting rich off of this? You follow that money.
Oh yeah.
Look at how we broke up Marbell, then we got back together. Look at Amazon. Amazon would be considered like a trifecta of monopolies, right? And not
Worse.
just that, they've used uncompetitive advantages because they own and mind the store and then also sell the product in the store to find other people that are selling the same products to undermine them. This is already like a known fact, but they have so much influence that any mayor in almost any city in this country will bend over backwards to give them 100 years of no property taxes while your property taxes go up.
Yeah.
And again, what's the root of that? Are bending over backwards for corporations because they produce jobs, because they generate taxable income, which is BS, right? So I think what we need is the government to reevaluate itself as the protector of the common good. Right?
Yeah.
How come there aren't more than 2 cable companies in the entire city of Chicago? What is it, RCN and Comcast?
Well, the truth is because we're supposed, our government's supposed to protect us from monopolies, but they are not protecting us from monopolies. That's a farce. They found loopholes. These huge corporations have found loopholes on for these monopoly laws. Let's take into account.
Right? They're supposed to generate profits.
So that's again, this is the problem. And you're right. Capitalism has.
We have crony capitalism now.
Well, yeah, that's a problem. Capitalism has way too many flaws, and but the problem, or the good thing is that it's not, as of yet so far, completely run away. But it's hitting those ranks where it is beginning to be completely out of control. It's not the first time around. We've seen this before, and thus we had unions step in to protect us from the early versions of these and I'm gonna call them tyrants. These companies that did abuse the human element. Now we are
we have had laissez-faire.
Right, and now we are going through this again, but not in the same way. You know how they're crushing us through debt. And that is an issue. That's how they're doing it now. That's the modern version of bad labor.
Inflating the population.
Yes. You control debt. You control the human element. I'm gonna tell you just from my experience, and Michelle's talking about Republicans and their nationalities and Trump supporters. So here's one, and argue with me, dispute me. So a lot of these, people are out there trying to get money from the stimulus package. The stimulus package, the way it's broken down, is going from the Federal Reserve to the banks, who did such a wonderful job helping us back in 2008. God bless the banks. God bless them. So you have to meet certain criteria to get this money. As a business owner, you have ups and you have downs, and we're small business. This is what it is. You have great times and you have bad times, and you make it work because you make it work. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to borrow this money at this low interest rate. Well, that's fine and dandy. And what do they want you to do with this money? They want you to keep your business up and running. So what does that mean? That means you continue to pay your rents, you continue to pay employees, and so forth and so forth. So you move on. So let's say you borrow $10,000. Yeah, I know they keep the money for the VIPs, but you have this money that you've borrowed now. Now you're indebted to the government. So let's say hypothetically your business folds because this is not going to be an easy recovery. So once you get this money, now you have to pay it back to the federal government because you can no longer sustain your business. You let your employees go, which is one of the criteria that you must keep your employees employed. And I don't know all the details. Gonzo journalism. I'm not an expert. But now you have to pay this money back. You closed your business. Now you're in the whole 10, 15, and a reasonable amount to take out for a business for a 2-3 month period, 2 month period, maybe about 15 to 20 grand just to operate at a bare minimum. But now you have no productivity for that. So now put yourself 6 months down the road. Now you're making enough to get by, but you also now have that loan on top of it. What are you gonna do? Now you're in the hole, and for what? Don't people are so easily taken to borrow this money. It's like it's not free money. It's money that you have to pay back, or it'll become a grant. But what if you fold? What if your business can't succeed after this chaos? Because it is a possibility. Then what? You're in trouble. Now you owe money to the federal government, and they do not forgive. They will hunt you down. They will take your licenses. They have all this power to keep you.
Not just that. They will outsource that to a third party.
Yes.
Who will then hunt you down and make your life a living hell. But it will be okay because unlike other debt collectors, because they're doing it on behalf of the government, they're going to be allowed to do anything and everything to you.
Yep. They will come and take, in the middle of the night, they'll come and take whatever you possess. Whatever possessions you have. Why?
Kids.
Well, they could take the kids. I don't... Shit.
Take your children.
That's okay. Yeah. But people are rushing and getting in line to take this money, to borrow money, and they're going to be buried in the hole. Not a great idea. And at the end of the day, Jose pointed out that money actually stays in the banks because they decide who gets that money by their own criteria. And I'm already reading that a lot of people, a lot of small businesses, they're not getting that money. They won't be able to survive this.
They did the same thing with the home rescue bullshit.
Oh yeah,
mortgages.
I'll tell you what, my parents were.
I went through that. I applied for help. I went through it a few times. I even went through a group that gets money from the government, and it's supposed to hand that money out to help people, minorities in Chicago, to get or keep their homes. And what I ended up finding out is that they only do like maybe one a year because they end up keeping that because of administrative costs.
Well, my parents. What was the catch for all of this was funny. What they were saying at the time was your house is undervalued. In other words, if you had a $300,000 mortgage, but your house was only worth $200,000, so you were underwater. Oh, they couldn't lend you the money. But part of the reason that your house was valued for so much less is because they helped create the crash or the overvaluing and then the undervaluing of properties because of what they did, but they didn't see it fit to lend you the money after it was given to them. And and here we are in the situation again. Now it's $2 trillion that they don't have to show complete transparency. What is it? 6 months? Certain things are going to be hidden to the general public. What's going to happen with $2 trillion in 6 months' time when nobody's there to basically supervise it? Okay, Jose says that he had a call about the forbearance, and basically they would give us 3 to 4 months of not having to pay a mortgage, but we would have to pay those 3 to 4 months after all at once. So let's say you have a $1,500 mortgage, $1,200 mortgage. It's reasonable. $1,500. Let's put it at $1,000 just for the sake of numbers. So 4 months, let's say they give you a forbearance. That's $4,000 on top of your current mortgage. So that's $5,000. So in 4 months, you have to pay $5,000. Good luck. After you and it'll ruin your credit because they give you that privilege. And good luck. 5 months. That means you're asking for something because you're under an extraordinary circumstance, and you don't have the money to pay it because you can't go pay it currently as you would like to. Now you're in trouble. How are you going to come up with $5,000?
They're going to take it away from you, sell it on auction to their same department that handles buying distressed properties, charge you the difference because with a 1088, so then you have to pay taxes on that.
Yep.
and they keep your house, you get a tax liability.
Yep.
And welcome to capitalism, baby.
No, oh no, sir, that's not capitalism. That is governmental interference. Yes, yes. This is the government interfering with the ability to sometimes operate as things. Listen, in 2008, I preached it when we first started Radio Blasphemy, and the biggest thing is let the banks fail. And that would have been a phenomenal success story 12 years later. Because you know what? Lesson learned, know what to do. Now they sit on these mountains, they sit on Mount Olympus, all arrogant, and they let you and say, hey, we don't care. And right now, even utility companies, they don't care. They're successful businesses. They have to pay out these dividends to their investors. Because heaven forbid they fail. Maybe we all need that massive reset button. I don't know. I lost my train of thought there.
You talked about
questions.
They can't fail. Sure they can. They shouldn't. They should fail. The thing is, and we discussed this before. What happens is people like Jose, and I don't know what your situation is, Jose, or anybody that's listening, but Michelle, she was just talking about what her future holds, and even with ours. How many of us that are not going to easily recoup from this disaster are going to find themselves in financial hardships where it's going to be difficult to catch up to pay your mortgage? When you can't pay your mortgage, the bank's going to come and collect. Now they're going to have a oversupply or an oversupply or an over inventory of homes. Drops value, just the way it works. So now the banks are going to have more properties on their hand, just like in 08, the same thing. And the only thing is, this wasn't caused by bad investments, or this is actually a natural event. So a hell of a lot more people are going to be affected by this. So yeah, banks are going to fail, Jose, because of this, because people won't be able to pay their mortgages, and this is going to be far worse than that, because it's not just the banking industry. I think as a whole, for the economy to recover from this, it's going to be very difficult.
30 million people applied for unemployment.
That's ridiculous. And the other side of that coin is these people filed. The numbers can be skewed because people filed because many businesses can't operate. The problem is, so they're thinking that here, I got another point. They're thinking that we can recoup once these businesses open. People can go back to work and unemployment will go back down. The problem is when these businesses don't open, you know what's going to happen? These people are not going to be able to go back to work. Now, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about the loans that we are being made as small business people. So part of the condition is that we need to keep our payroll active, and they are so adamant about that. You know why they want you to, as a small business owner, you know why they want you to keep that payroll active? They want you to keep it. They want you to keep it active because now you're carrying the burden for unemployment. Instead of these employees that you have going to file unemployment, no, they're active on your payroll. So they're not filing for unemployment. So now you're flipping the bill for your local government. How neat is that? That you are not responsible for something that unemployment should be taken care of. How does that work? And don't say that's capitalism. That is your government taking advantage of its citizens and giving the appearance of being helpful. Bullshit. Just so y'all know, I'm not suicidal because what I just said, that shit is and it's on YouTube. That's the kind of shit that you get in trouble for. There's like, well, he was suicidal. No, I'm not suicidal. I'm speaking some truths here, and I know governments don't like when you speak, and I know that sounds very paranoid, but I'm putting myself out there, and whatever.
But Rigo, this is the same, as much as like I know you don't agree with Bernie Sanders, but this is one of the things that he was complaining about, saying that we have companies like Amazon and Walmart that part of their profit is a result of them forcing the burden of supporting their workers with public health care, with public aid. And what you're saying, to me, just illustrates how this is just a continuation of what we've been seeing for years, right? We've heard all these stories of they don't pay their employees enough, they don't get any benefits. So, this is all part of that. This is all, we've been, what this trickle-down economics, what we've been doing, in spite of what people may think, it has been trickling up. Because
I'm going to
of the tax burden onto everybody else but themselves.
The issue is,
meanwhile, you have the Waltons that are making what is it, like millions of $300 million a day, or Bezos at Amazon. I think that is part of the problem, that these companies are making so much money. But part of it is because they're shifting their responsibilities, like you're saying, to us, to everybody else.
Right. But see, and I'm gonna point something out here that is very interesting. These companies, these entities, cannot exist if you don't continue to support them. So what happens when you don't support a company like Amazon? What happens when you don't support a company like Walmart? There's a million ways of showing we are ultimately in control. If we want to truly show the powers that be what it takes. Let's use cell phones. That's a good example. How many cell phones does each household have? Family of four, all four, the two adults plus the two. Now you want to control how the profitable it is. Thank you, Geneva. You want to control that? Don't have 4 cell phone lines in your house. Have one. We grew up without them, but all of a sudden everybody needs their own phone. Not the way it works. I mean, we're consumers. We are constantly being. I don't want to use the word forced, but we are hypnotized. We are convinced that we need all these things. We need to make a dozen trips to Walmart to buy things that we don't need. Target. We all know the jokes about Target, about going and buying things you don't need. Why do we do that?
Or the Apple Store, when people line up to get the new iPhone.
People line up for the new iPhone. To me, that sounds so ridiculous. My phone is like 6 years old.
Unbridled consumerism is what I think you're trying to say is bad, and I agree.
So, but this is you want to show these large corporations, stop using Amazon. See how that goes. Bezos is coming for me now. It's not bad enough I had the government after me. Now I got the rich coming after me. But you know what?
Does that mean I have to cancel Prime? Damn it.
They already canceled it for me.
Practice what you preach.
But
it's. But you know what, Rigo? I think in that vein, we also have to point out that we're not saying to not buy things, right?
No, that's not what we're saying.
I'm not saying not to. Like, if you want to buy a big TV, all the more power to you. I can appreciate a football game, a basketball game, or a movie on a big screen TV. I totally can. But to buy one every year,
well, that's kind of
we ourselves do this to ourselves.
That's
right? We
exactly.
don't need to buy anyone.
But this is the mob mentality that is in our country. That's what we do.
But we also have to take a look at that you brought up. Also, why do we allow corporations to do this planned obsolescence? Why is that okay?
We don't allow it. You're saying we are the people. We
I know,
make
but we buy
choices,
this stuff.
but listen,
You know,
we elect these people. We know who we're electing, and again, it goes back to what we're talking about. We elect these people, and they represent us, and collectively, these people ultimately decide what gets done. Now, that's if you don't
that's true.
believe
It's over.
in this deep state, because there's that whole other.
Let's bring that up. Two people can't keep a bloody secret. I really doubt you're gonna have like.
I don't think it's a
full of money.
secret. I don't think it's a secret. I
Yeah.
think it's out in the open. It's just
It's right here.
we just don't see it for what it is. At the end of the day, I don't think we.
Well, technically, then we would be like the poor man's Illuminati. Well, we're planning. We're gonna try to control our families to do stuff that we want them to do. So,
Right.
so in a way, we're like the poor man's Illuminati.
Okay, so let's break this down for 1 second. How you have cable television, you have internet services, you have cell phone services, then you use Netflix and Hulu, and you go. I mean, we can go on about all these things that
Oh my God!
the things that you didn't grow up
check
with.
out how hard it is to cut the cord. Yeah, look that up to see how hard it is for you.
Yes, I know. I at one point I had satellite dish. You should have seen how ridiculous that was. Okay, so we have all these things that collectively add up, and we grew up with these. And I know you're gonna say, oh well, you guys don't. But try taking these things away from, for example, our children, that next generation, and they will lose their minds because they live like this. They live like this. They have to be consistently connected or entertained. What happens if you unplug that?
I'll riot.
Well, people would go outside.
I'll burn my house down. I only burn buildings in my neighborhood.
I believe it. Memo, just so you know,
but you know what? I had to go on a strict budget. So there was one point where all I had was cable and my cell phone.
But see, that's more than you grew up with. Right? That's more than you grew up with.
Liquor stores are shutting down tomorrow.
Oh, liquor! There's the other thing. Liquor stores. Memo, so you know Geneva's listening. She said hello. Memo?
What?
I said Geneva's listening, just so you know. She said hello.
Oh, hello. Hello.
So, all right, so let's get off of that for a second. So, I definitely wanted to address this because I think this is amazing. God, I've been on for an hour 45 now. I have no shame.
You won't stop.
I won't stop.
You're a machine.
So
you can't feel your leg.
No, I have to kind of move around. That's why I twitch, because I'm like, so. So tomorrow, Chicago's imposing a 9 o'clock curfew for liquor stores. See, Michelle. Okay, Michelle doesn't have cable or Wi-Fi. See, that's interesting. PBS is good actually, but they're closing down the liquor stores at 9 o'clock, and I'm thinking, all right, how is that really gonna help? What's for the rookies?
I don't think it matters one way or the other.
But is that just a flex power? Is that what it is? A flexing of power?
It was funny because all the guys that the mayor had on, they were all like Arabic dudes. And right now we have here Farak Farouk Ashid, who's going to also participate in closing the liquor stores. And first, I want to say for everyone, the mayor has been doing a great job, and we love our first responders, and we love Chicago business. And we were closing our business at the time to help support the mayor. I think that was just a publicity stunt for those guys, and for her, because what they're saying is that too many people are hanging out in front of the liquor store. So last time I've been to Denny's, there's not a lot of people hanging out in front of a Denny's, but in the poor parts of the city, There are still people hanging out in front of that. I just drove through there, and yeah, there's still people up there.
So that goes back
But
to.
you know what?
So that goes
You know
back
what?
to
At the end
what
of
we
the
just.
day, that's just Darwinism, man. At that point, like if you want to be out there and you want to take your chances, and you know what? At the end of the day, it's your God-given right to do whatever you want, even
This
if it's stupid, right? As long as you don't hurt anybody else.
Yeah, well, welcome
So
to
if that means that
libertarianism.
you're okay with going out there without a mask because the coronavirus is a hoax by the deep state, infiltrated by the Mexican president along to make Putin and Rush Limbaugh and Trump look bad, then by all means, you know. But if you get sick from that, you know, and you die, well, that's just nature working its course. And I would also put forth that this coronavirus is just nature's way of reminding us that, yeah, you may control the atom, but you still don't got anything on me. You could blow this planet up 10 times over with your nuclear weapon, and I'll still be here. And guess what? All these the viri, the cockroaches, and all that stuff will still be around. So that's also to remind us about, you know, of our place in nature.
Yeah.
Remember, nature's nature.
Yes.
And nature's cruel.
Yes.
And horrible. It's funny when people may say, like, oh, isn't it beautiful? Yeah, it is beautiful. But you ever seen a killer whale eat a baby seal? Not too pretty. But it's nature. Nature's savage. And this, what we're experiencing, is just a reminder of, you know, yes, we can split the atom. But guess what? All the splitting of all the atoms in the world and all the world's uranium that we have, we're not going to be able to nuke this virus to save ourselves.
So going back to the liquor stores being closed, are the dispensaries going to have a curfew?
I have a tangent. Sorry.
Huh?
Yeah, that's a deficit disorder.
What?
Along with tangentism.
What did you say?
I have tangentism.
Kansas.
I go off on tangents.
Yes. Yeah, I got to control you. You sound like me. I think this is why we're friends. Just for those that don't know, I think Memo and I have been friends for 33 years now. So whenever we hang out with each other, just it's like but both of us but so
no, you shut up. No, you all be quiet.
Taste of Nature is that. Taste of Nature, is that a brand? So the dispensaries, do they get a curfew too? I mean, at this point, they're
No, they're generating too much tax money, so no.
Oh, but liquor generates an incredible amount of revenue.
Not as much as medicinal marijuana is going to be doing.
Yeah, you know what? Either vices I could do. I'm doing without, so I'm fine. You know, when they start talking about closing the. Wow, you're so old. Thank you. Hey, what's up, Tony?
There you go. I gotta get off soon.
All right, give me a few more. Give a few. We're rounding it
Finish
up.
Finish your thought. The liquor stores. Curfew. Bodegas.
No, well, I think that was it. You know, whatever generates revenue, even then, why don't they close them out as a whole? Did you see that? I mean, for example,
still open on 26th Street.
Well, no. Listen, did you see the panic in Mexico for the liquor for the beer? Well, we did the toilet paper here. They're doing to beer in Mexico.
I love my people. We bean, therefore we bean.
Yeah,
That's the name, beaners, because we like beans.
All right.
Frijoles de la olla, frijoles rancheros, frijoles refritos.
Yeah. Modelo, which is owned by Anheuser-Busch, is closing its production plants in Mexico. But what do you do?
Oh, but there's a reason for that, by the way, because they're missed with the president because they were supposed to build out a couple of breweries, and they were like multinational breweries, but they didn't want to pay for the water or something, And the
Ah.
president said, and Mexico said, no, you're going to pay for the water. But, before we do that, let me ask the people in that area if they want you there. And they said, no, we don't want them there. So they're getting put out.
Oh,
Because
nice.
he's kind of a socialist. And I kind of like AMLO, as they call him, AMLO. El Presidente Obrador. I love the guy. That's why when Trump got voted into office, I at least took joy in that the current president of Mexico is actually doing a lot of stuff for the people.
Which will, of course, be perceived as socialism or communism, and there we go.
Yeah. Jorge Ramos asked him if Jorge Ramos had complained about him, and why? Because he's part of that elite, elite people. And the president down there has come out and said how a lot of the previous presidents have sold off chunks of Mexico. I mean, think about it. After Salinas de Gortari split up all the public utilities, the television, all of that stuff that was public. All of a sudden you have 20 Mexicans who are billionaires out of the Forbes riches. Before that, it was 2. So,
Yeah.
So anybody who keeps an eye on other countries' politics, like the CIA and the coup that just went in Bolivia, that they got rid of the president there, even though the people there love him, and he actually did stuff to help the poor and illiterate of that country. And the guy Chumel, the Torres guy that I love, the way he put it, the way he described that president is no fue más lindo, pero más bonito.
All right. We've been at this for about 2 hours. Those that are still listening, by all means, it's Radio Blasphemy.
Thank you for joining us in our rants and raves.
Yes. We enjoyed that you all chime in. I think we did a little better today. It's very unprofessional here, but we try to keep it together nonetheless. Tell your friends. Share. YouTube channel is Radio Blasphemy. Again, if any of you ever want to come in and chime in like Memo did
Ghetto.
Yeah. But, by all means, give us a call. But having said that, Memo, any last words of wisdom?
Just stay safe, people out there, even if you think it's not a true thing, take some precautionary measures, because it may not affect you in one way, but people that you love, like parents, who might have diabetes or have dialysis or things like that, keep that in mind. And God bless you guys, hopefully we get all through this and, we get out of this and we come out better people.
Sure.
As a result of this.
Okay.
This also, by the way, this should also point out how, in spite of us all being different, having different beliefs, whether you're a Trump supporter, whether, you're a neo-Nazi and all of that craziness, the virus doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right? It'll take any one of us. So, remember that. I used to be a brown supremacist, but I changed my ways.
All right, Memo.
And I accept all people.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
Anyway, take care. God bless you. And take care, Reed.
All right, brother. We'll talk.
We'll talk, brother.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right.
Later, bro.
All right. For myself, virtual hugs to all of you that listen. Thank you. Share it with people that are able to debate intelligent conversation. I'm not saying that we have to agree, but we have to at least be able to take ideas and share them and discuss them intelligently. If we can't do that, then
I'm not saying that.
You hang up. You hang up. Hang up. We're done with you. We're done with you. Hang up.
No. I can't. I love the spotlight.
But I this is what the whole concept behind this page is, for us to discuss and Sometimes, I don't know if I have good opinions or bad. There's no such thing as, I guess, as being wrong in an opinion, but good or bad opinions. I like to play devil's advocate on everything, and I appreciate all of you that take the time to listen. And by all means, share. Send me messages if you got something that you want to discuss. Oh yeah, CPD is pulling people over to do spot checks. That starts tonight, tomorrow, and Friday, I think. Making sure that you're doing something that's essential. Virtual hugs to all of you.
You're not drinking.
Oh God, he's still there. Just hang up already. I appreciate you all, and looking forward to seeing you all at some point in the near future. God bless you all. John, you missed the show. Watch the repeat. We're gonna post it to the page. God bless you all. Oh, I just touched my face. It was clean. Thank you all.
Hey, Rico, you forgot the sponsor. This was brought to you by Ramen Batman flavored soup.
Bye. Bat flavored soup. Thank you. Thank you all.